So, before we start, we would like to chant a mantra and Om one time. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much. And now, what have we seen or studied yesterday? Up till where or which organ from the respiratory system we have finished? I think we have finished till the epiglottis. That means we have seen all the primary source of the air to breathe is nose, the mouth, the regions of the pharynx, the oropharynx, nasopharynx, and the laryngopharynx, and epiglottis. And as the air passes further, here we will see today and we'll discuss about the trachea, the windpipe. So we start today with the windpipe, the trachea. So we have seen the mouth, the nose. Also we have seen the pharynx and epiglottis. Now here the trachea is our windpipe. The trachea, the windpipe which connects our throat to the lungs. So this windpipe is what connecting our throat, connects the pharynx to lungs. About the food pipe, esophagus, which was to connect the pharynx to the stomach. The trachea, the windpipe, which is located in the front of the food pipe that is connecting our throat to the lungs. Our windpipe, the trachea, is not as long as our food pipe, esophagus. So trachea is very small in size. This trachea is made up of the hyaline cartilage. Cartilage is what? Not a bone, but this cartilage is called strong and like a similar membrane like a bone with an elastic properties. So this hyaline cartilage made up of trachea is around 5 inches long. So on an average, approximately more than 5 to 7 inches long is our trachea, that is our windpipe. This trachea has certain number of rings now. If I will show here the windpipe, for example, this is our windpipe. These windpipe has certain number of rings. These rings are made up of hyaline cartilage. So these rings are made up of the cartilage. And if you will see and touch your neck in the front region, you will find or may locate the rings of the trachea. That means you will figure it out that the location of your windpipe is where? In the front of your body or in the front part of your neck. But here from these number of rings, how many are there? minimum 16 to 20 rings of cartilage are present. So 16 to 20 rings of cartilage are present in the windpipe. Depends upon the size of the windpipe from person to person. So if we consider this trachea, this windpipe, you will find out that the first two rings of the trachea, I will make it with the red color. So if you will see right over here, this portion, the first two rings from the trachea, the windpipe, these first two rings are to be known as, or these first two rings inside the trachea has our larynx. So that is our voice box. This is the outer part of the trachea. So when we will see the windpipe from outside, this will look like this, the windpipe. But if we gonna see or dissect this windpipe from inside, then our windpipe, so this is the external view, and now here I will show the internal view. So behind these rings, what is being present? Behind these rings, what is being present? So the first two rings from outside, here if you will see, these on these first two rings from outside, you will find out the thyroid gland or the thyroid cartilage. This looks like a butterfly shaped gland. Here, the thyroid cartilage from the first two rings. But from outside I am speaking. This is not important here in the respiratory system, as the thyroid gland is a part of endocrine system where it produces the hormones. But just to tell you the location here, I am telling you the first two rings of the windpipe are covered by the thyroid gland, whereas the same first two rings of the windpipe from inside, we do find our voice box. This, hello? So, the first two rings of the trachea from inside are to be known as the larynx. Larynx is nothing but our voice box, made up of the mucous membrane and the mucous fold. From outside, this part was known as the thyroid cartilage, the thyroid gland. From inside, it is known as the larynx, our voice box. But if you will see the number of the rings from the outside, these number of the rings from inside, if you will see the windpipe from inside, internally from the top, then we will find out the small, tiny hair on the surface of the trachea, that is on the surface of the windpipe. If you see here, the small, tiny hair which I have drawn here on the surface of the trachea pointing up. So have a look, a close look. If you see the hair inside the trachea are pointing up, that means it indicates these tiny hair which are known as cilia. These are the cilia, the tiny hair. which moves in the upward direction continuously inside our windpipe. So these cilia are involuntarily controlled. So that means which is not in control with our mind. This is again an involuntary part that is continuously like our heartbeat, the heart muscle, cardiac muscle. We cannot control with our mind. It continuously beat. Similarly, cilia also continuously like an involuntary functioning, moving in the upward direction in the windpipe. Why or what was the purpose of this? To remove the dust particles or the contaminants from the air, whatever is been passing into our lungs. So all the time, these cilia, the small tiny hairs from inside the surface of our windpipe, it functions like a broom, which means like we clean our home and houses with the help of the broom. Similarly, this tiny hair, like a broom, try to keep our windpipe clean or try to clean our windpipe continuously. It removes out all the dust and contaminants, whatever are been passing even through the filtration from the nose and the mouth. So whenever we see like we have the hoarse voice, so whenever we will figure it out, we have some infection, viral infection in our throat or any kind of uh, disease or sick, we fall ill. The first infected region in our body is our throat, where the throat chakra has the major property or plays important, the most important role to or when we fall sick or ill. So this throat chakra is what indicates that when we affect our throat chakra, this is not the first chakra, this is the last chakra from the physical state of the body, made up of the five elements. The next two chakras, about the third eye and the crown, are connected with the mind and the soul. But when we talk about our physical body, our physical fitness, the physical health, the first which gets infected is our throat chakra, and it gets infected here due to the amount of the bacteria and the germs and the viruses. So when we have these viruses inside, it just cleans out with the help of the cilia, with the help of the windpipe. It is just infecting and bringing out this dust into our throat region. That means into our pharynx region. Pharynx region is what first get infected by removing out the germs. It won't allow this viral or the viruses to enter into the lungs. But sometimes what happens, the people who live in the cities or the people who live a life like some people do smoke or some people do have working in the chemical industry or some people working in the factory where a lot of chemicals are being used and the burning. So what happens that time after smoking this cigarettes or some this smoking, what happens? The burning sensation of the smoke burns the hair inside the windpipe. And for the smokers or for those who live in the polluted regions in the cities, like we have the Delhi or maybe Mumbai, we can say, in these regions where there is a lot of pollution of hazardous and the toxic gases which enters into our nose and the mouth, and it can burn the tiny hairs as well from the windpipe. If these tiny hairs are getting burned with the help of the smoke, whether it is active or whether the person is smoking, no matter even if the person is not smoking, but living in the cities or working in the hazardous industries or the which produces the amount of chemicals and the acids, These people may burn their cilia, that is, the amount of the hairs inside the windpipe, which cannot be grown back naturally in the same amount, which cannot be grown back naturally in the same size and the shape if it is burned. Then these people are the first priority of the viruses to attack and infect their lungs, like bronchitis disease and the disorders with the windpipe and the trachea with the maybe asthma and lots of cough problems and lots of infection as well in our throat. Only for these people is the first priority. Keeping it healthy, there are some pranayamas which needs to be cooled down. So the cooling pranayamas are always or must or should be done after the warm-up exercise or after the warm-up breathing technique. If I will tell you the cooling pranayama, or you will do it in your pranayama sessions, like we have Shitali pranayama, Shithakari pranayama, Chandra Bhedana pranayama. There are lots of cooling pranayama techniques which should be done to avoid the burning of the cilia inside the windpipe. This pranayama may also have many benefits to reduce the heat from the body as well, which must be done here after our yoga exercise or asana exercises or warm-up breathing techniques. Up till here, is this clear? Where is the trachea? Where is our voice box, larynx? And what is the role of the cilia? And what will happen if we burn the cilia, this tiny hair, in our windpipe? I hope it is clear now.
Yes.
Anything you want to ask here? Or shall I erase this now?
You can erase.
Okay. Now, so like I said, maybe day before yesterday, I told you about the grandma, great grandma. Grandma, she couldn't even survive that many years, but the great grandma of mine survived 109 years, just not living in the city life like me or like my family, but just living in the village and just inhaling and exhaling the fresh prana, that is the fresh oxygen, which is not available nowadays or maybe for the future generation throughout our life. A day will come that time we need to buy oxygen. So even the oxygen we need to buy in the future, hopefully. The next, we have the branches of the trachea. So we have the branches of the trachea inside the lung. How about the branches of the trachea inside the tongue, inside the lungs? I will draw here. So where the trachea ends, here the trachea will end, made up of 16 to 20 rings, and this trachea will split. This trachea, now it will split one into the left lung and one into the right lung. After, so these one into the left and one into the right lung, these branches are known as bronchi. So these are known as primary bronchi. Then This is the portion of the primary bronchi where the trachea splits, one into the left lung and one into the right lung. Now, these primary bronchi split further into secondary bronchi, So these primary bronchi, one in the left, one in the right, will split further into secondary bronchi. That means two in the left and three in the right. So two in the left and three in the right. As we have the space for the heart in the center, which is slightly shifted to the left side, which makes our left lung a bit smaller than our right lung. Then these are known as secondary bronchi, the red one. Then these secondary bronchi will further split into tertiary bronchi. Tertiary bronchi. So these are the tiny tertiary bronchi connected to the secondary bronchi. These secondary bronchi splits into the tertiary bronchi. The black. Again, so these are the three regions of the bronchi: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary splits in right and the left, one and one. The secondary splits into two in the left, three in the right. The tertiary splits more further here from the secondary bronchi to these tertiary bronchi. Again, it will split more, and the next part is known as bronchioles. So after the tertiary bronchi, the next is known as bronchioles. So air is passing through the windpipe, primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, then to the bronchioles. These are all the bronchioles connected to the tertiary bronchi. So there are more than millions of bronchioles, approximately more than 20 to 30 millions of bronchioles inside our lungs. These bronchioles are scattered all over these lungs, like we have the bronchioles, and to these bronchioles there are also terminal bronchioles, which makes the number of bronchioles more than 20 to 30 million inside our lungs, all over our lungs from inside. So bronchioles and terminal bronchioles. So the red one, which I made a circle to the bronchioles, are connected to the tertiary bronchi, and again to this red one you will see the black terminal bronchioles, which are spread all over the lungs. Actually, this is not the way I am showing, very small. This is scattered all over the lungs. The black one are the known as terminal bronchioles. The red one are known as the bronchioles. So millions of bronchioles spread all over the lungs. If you will see out here, this is your one and this is your second lung. So all over the lungs, here you will see the bronchioles. To these bronchioles, what is connected to these bronchioles? So first, the air we will revise from the nose, it will pass through the mouth, then to the region of the throat, then the epiglottis will send it to our windpipe. Following through this windpipe, the first one is the primary bronchi, this black section, one in the left, one in the right. Then we have the secondary bronchi. That secondary bronchi is 3 in the right and 2 in the left. Then after the secondary bronchi, there are tertiary bronchi, which you will see connected to the secondary bronchi. After the tertiary bronchi will split further, this again red, which are connected to the tertiary bronchi, the small threads, the vessels, are to be known as bronchioles, whereas to this red section, these further splits into terminal bronchioles, again which is denoted by this black marker, scattered all over the lungs in between around more than 30 millions of bronchioles inside our lungs. Now, it is very much important to know where the air goes or what happens when we breathe oxygen and how do we bring out this carbon dioxide. So we do see the lungs, we do see the bronchioles, bronchi, and the trachea as well. But what is connected at the end of these bronchioles, or where does this air will reach? This air will reach more further again to these bronchioles. If you will see over here, this section, I will write down the important word, that is alveoli. Alveoli. Alveoli or alveoli are denoting, or I will write down in the bracket, air sacs first, and we'll make it as a red circle again. So I will denote it with the red marker here in this diagram. If you will see the small air sacs, can you see the small circles connected to this terminal bronchiole?
Yes.
So these smaller circles are known as alveoli. More than 30 to 40, again 40 millions of air sacs inside our lungs. These are the air sacs inside our lungs. If you will see here now, I am just showing it with a small dot, a small circle. This is known as the alveoli. But if with the microscope, if we will zoom this image of our lungs, and to figure it out, there are very small, tiny air sacs inside our lungs. If we figure it out, the structure of this alveoli, this is like a grape. See, I will show it here. One section I will zoom, and this is like a grape. This one circle is like a grape. So if I will draw here the terminal bronchiole in a zoom image. If we will zoom this image, this is the terminal bronchiole. And to this terminal bronchiole, if we will see the alveoli after zooming this image in, then these are like the structure of the grape in a group. So to one bronchiole, you will find out in between 100 to thousands of bronchioles like this connected only to one bronchiole. Hundreds and thousands of alveoli connected only to one terminal bronchiole. I repeat, hundreds to thousands of alveoli connected to one bronchiole. This black one is the bronchiole, and to this bronchiole you will see the alveoli connected like this, which are nothing but the air sacs. So oxygen and the carbon dioxide or the air composition of air reach through this. But what happens here in the alveoli? Now, what happens exactly in the alveoli? This, what state, in which state we do breathe? So the state is in the gaseous state. But our cells, in which form the oxygen reach? In the liquid state. So this is important. You should note it down, even if I will speak it slowly, or will not write on the whiteboard due to the minimum space. So in the alveoli, when we do breathe in, the air will pass all the way and it will reach these air sacs. In these air sacs, the air which we have breathed in, we have inhaled, was in the gaseous form of oxygen. So like the air is in the gaseous form, but in the alveoli, it gets converted into liquid form of oxygen. And this liquid form of oxygen is diffused, the gaseous form of oxygen into liquid form, and it is given to the capillaries. So there are thousands and many number of capillaries around these lungs, which are the blood vessels. So this liquid form of the oxygen from the alveoli are given to these blood vessels, the capillaries, which provides this liquid form of the oxygen to the cells of our body. So the nutrients from the food I said, and the oxygen which we inhale. Yes, Rituji?
You said to write down something, but you are dictating and you
Mm-hmm.
started talking. Yeah, means I was writing, but I was not able to see what to write.
Yeah, so this is what I, okay. So
Yeah.
this is what I was first, I will first explain you, and again, first I will explain you, and then again I
Okay.
will dictate. So this is
Okay.
what happens in the alveoli when we breathe in the gaseous form of the oxygen. That time it reaches the air sacs. When we breathe, we do not breathe the liquid, right? We drink the liquid. So if we breathe the air from the nostrils, it will reach the alveoli. The alveoli will convert this air to the liquid form of oxygen. So the oxygen which is in the gaseous form, air form, it will be converted to the liquid form in the air sacs and will be given to the whole body through these capillaries. At the same time, at the same time, the carbon dioxide which is present in our blood already or in our cells already in the liquid form, because we exhale carbon dioxide, that is already present in us, so we do not need, we exhale out. That carbon dioxide which is in the liquid form is taken by the alveoli and it is converted into gaseous form in the air form. So we breathe out the gaseous form of carbon dioxide and not the liquid form of carbon dioxide. So this all thing, the process is happening every moment we breathe. Even if now we are doing some actions, speaking and listening, even with the subconscious mind, this everything is happening in one breath we take. Can I dictate one more time?
No, it's okay.
So the gaseous form of oxygen converts to the liquid form of the oxygen given to the body. Again, at the same time, from the body, the liquid form of the carbon dioxide is converted to the gaseous form of the carbon dioxide in the alveoli. And again, when we exhale, it will come back up the carbon dioxide. So when we will exhale out, when we will inhale, it will go down the oxygen. Okay, now is this clear the concept?
Yes, so means the liquid form of oxygen gets dissolved into the blood, and then it's supplied to the whole parts of the body, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So the next process is about the circulatory system that we will see after it. So how the heart puts the oxygenated blood and everything. So that is the next process. But you are right until the concept is clear with the whole body. This is what only happens. I will erase this now. Okay.
Yeah.
And we will see a small flow chart. For the respiratory system, like we have seen in the digestive system. So here the small flow chart, write it down, respiratory system. The first one, the nose, the primary source, and the mouth. The second one, the air passes through the pharynx region. Pharynx means the throat. That means nasopharynx, osopharynx, and laryngopharynx. Then we do have epiglottis, which is the switch between the food pipe and windpipe. Then the air passes through the trachea. That is nothing but the windpipe, which contains the cilia and our voice box. The first two rings are known as larynx. Is the first two rings of trachea, our voice box, larynx. Then it will go more further and we have the branches of trachea. So in the branches of trachea, we have seen inside the lungs, where we find out the bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. Where alveoli is nothing but the state of exchange of gases of oxygen and carbon dioxide which our body requires. Can you see out clearly? Until down. So just make the arrows in both the way. So this is upward way arrows as well here. Oops. I'm sorry, Shikarji, the standing is broken, but I am holding it with the hand.
Oh. Okay.
So these are just the arrows over here. So make it just in a both way, the arrows. I have to repair my standing, the mobile standing for the next sessions from Monday, maybe. Clear?
I have,
Yeah.
I copied it. No problem.
Okay, you will also find it in the recording. And
Yes.
Thank you so much, 𝐶𝐶 today. We will end the class right over here for today.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.